What is up, guys? AshbyFC here, and welcome to a quick video on my top 5 games of the year so far. I didn't do one of these last year, but I did do one for 2012 and 13, although they were top 10 lists. Top 5 this time because I actually couldn't go with 10. I think I got 9, so I was like, bollocks, we'll just go with 5. And like I've done for the past 3 years, I'll be doing my top 10 games list at the end of the year. So what do you say we get straight into it? Alright, so up first, at number 5, it's a standalone expansion pack to Wolfenstein The New Order. It's Wolfenstein The Old Blood. So the game brings more of that Wolfenstein goodness, that old school feel, which I love to see. More Nazis to kill. Who doesn't love that? More violence, more great shootouts and awesome moments. It's great. You know, the story's, I guess, a little weak compared to The New Order, but it is an expansion pack, you know, so that's kind of forgivable, you know? And again, it brings a nice mix of all-out action and a great bit of stealth. Nice to have a good balance between the two. You know, Wolfenstein The New Order was one of my absolute favourite shooters of last year, and I was just super happy to have more. I really wish we could get more expansion packs, because they're a bit of a rarity out these days. We don't see expansion packs, it's just DLC, you know, and it does content cut out the games, but it's nice to see an expansion pack. I really hope Machine Games will bring us a full-blown sequel to The New Order, because I would love that. And for number 4, I guess the biggest surprise for me this year, because it's a game at first I completely dismissed and had absolutely zero interest in, and that's Dying Light. So when the game was first announced, I rolled my eyes and I was like, oh look, another zombie game. Haven't seen one of those before. How original, how goddamn refreshing, awesome. End of sarcasm. Come on, I can't be the only one sick of zombie games. But that was my initial reaction. Another thing that just made me have zero interest in the game was the fact that it was by Techland, who gave us the incredibly disappointing Dead Island and the absolutely flat-out Dead Island Riptide. It's gonna suck. Not interested. Oh, and I was just a little bit wrong. Okay, I was dead wrong. The game's freaking awesome. Dying Light is the game Dead Island should have been. That's what it is. Techland definitely got this one right. It's just so much fun brutalizing the zombies with the different moves and weapons, and it is pretty goddamn brutal. You've got a cool leveling up skill tree system. I always like working towards stuff, you know, new moves and abilities to unlock. I always like stuff like that. And the parkour just makes it so much fun. Just getting around from point A to point B. It really is, like jumping on zombies' heads along the way. It really is fun just moving about. Oh, did I mention you can drop kick zombies? Oh yeah, that's a thing. I don't even tell you how much fun that is. Game of the year material right there. Okay, so the story sucks. Techland aren't particularly good at writing stories, but you know what? It's alright when you've got such great gameplay. I'll let it slide. Now, one of the really cool things about this game is when it comes to night. Because at night, it kind of becomes a very different game. Now, during the day, you know, it's pretty basic. You've got your typical gormless zombies roaming around. A lot of them like to commit suicide, falling off roofs, that sort of stuff. I mean, you've got a couple of these big zombies that take a few more hits, and some angry zombies that can run if they hear loud noises and stuff. At night, the game becomes pretty goddamn intense. Now, the game actually rewards you a little bit more for being out at night. You'll get more points. But it's incredibly dangerous and friggin' scary, because the zombies are more aggressive and volatiles come out. And these things you really don't want to be taking on. I mean, if they spot you, run. You run. And having a whole pack of these things chasing you as you're running to a safe place is absolutely terrifying, but awesome at the same time. It really is a different game come night. It really is just a damn good zombie game. I was so wrong about it, and as I said, it's the game Dead Island should have been. And for number 3, it's my favourite indie game of all time, Hotline Miami 2. Now, before Hotline Miami 2, my favourite indie game of all time was Hotline Miami 1. I do definitely consider this a better game than the first, and that's really saying something because the first is amazing. I just love how brutal these games are, despite their graphics. And I love their graphics, I love the retro style, I wouldn't want Hotline Miami anyway, but it still amazes me how it managed to be so goddamn brutal with those graphics. I can't get enough of it. You know, again, it's very similar to a Hotline Miami 1, but that's what I wanted. More of that awesomeness, more of that violence, and that sexy graphic style. And like the first, it's got a fascinating story, but kind of confusing at the same time. And much like the first, it is pretty goddamn hard, provides a really, really good challenge. And you're going to find yourself dying again and again and again, you know, trying to figure out how to get through these areas, get past these enemies and all that sort of stuff. But at no point does it ever really become frustrating. I mean, it's kind of fun dying. I mean, you know, catching a bullet and watching your brains fly across the floor. What's not to like? It really is crazy addictive. I love it so much. And oh, that soundtrack. That just makes it that much better. What an amazing soundtrack. It's actually one of my favourite soundtracks ever in video games. I mean, the first game had a phenomenal soundtrack. This one's even better. It's so good. Oh, I love it. Please let there be a Hotline Miami 3. And for number 2, it's Batman Arkham Knight. Now, is this game as good as Arkham Asylum and Arkham City? In my opinion, probably not. I guess it just doesn't feel quite as fresh. I mean, it is the 4th game overall. It's definitely better than Origins in my opinion. But regardless whether it's as good as Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, it's still an absolutely brilliant Batman game. We've got the addition of the Batmobile, which I loved. I know some people didn't really like the Batmobile. There is a lot of Batmobileage going on, but I liked it. I really did. I didn't really get fed up with the Batmobile. We've got that awesome combat. In fact, it's a little bit improved this time round, and a really, really good story. I really love Joker's role in the game, although I won't really go anything to spoil it, but it's a very good story. Very dark. I mean, it's the first Batman game to get an 18 rating. And, yeah, it is pretty dark and pretty violent. And I love it. There's plenty of stuff to do to keep you occupied, like taking down the watchtowers and the checkpoints, clearing the roads of tanks with a Batmobile, taking down Man-Bat, who's flying about, stopping Penguin and Two-Face. Lots of fun stuff to do besides the main story, and, you know, the main story is awesome. Never really did care too much for the Riddler stuff. Is that just me, or does anyone else really not give a shit about collecting those trophies? Riddler sucks. And I do believe this is the last one, at least from Rocksteady anyway. So, I guess in that case, this is the last Batman for me as well, because I don't particularly trust anyone else to take over the Batman series. And now we come to number 1. My number 1 game of the year so far. What could it be? Oh, that's right. One of the best goddamn games I have ever played in my 20 plus years of gaming. It could only be The Witcher 3 Wild Motherfucking Hunt. Okay, it's just Wild Hunt. I got excited and included the in there. It's just Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Where do I even start with this game? Holy shit. Like, what more do you want from an action RPG? This just gets it so right. And this game has completely raised the bar for open world action RPGs. Oh my god. Like, seriously, I don't even know where to start. I could just sit here all day praising this game. It's a goddamn masterpiece. Well, once you've got the patches. It blows Witcher 1 and 2 out of the water. In fact, compared to Witcher 3, Witcher 1 and 2 look like shit. And they're not shit, they're brilliant games. That's just how good The Witcher 3 is. The Witcher 3 is just on a different level. In fact, I said my favourite game of last year, my number 1 game of 2014, was Dragon Age Inquisition. And it was, I meant that, it was my number 1 game. Now after playing The Witcher 3, I'm like, really? That was really my number 1 game of the year? Inquisition has got nothing on The Witcher 3. BioWare must be so jealous of CD Projekt Red. BioWare wish they could create a game half as good as something like The Witcher 3, which will never happen when you're owned by the devil, Electronic Arts. It's got the most amazing game world I've ever seen. It's absolutely stunning. It's huge, it's so detailed, it just looks incredible. A number of times I've just been, you know, walking around, riding on horseback, sailing on a boat, and I've just had to stop and just take in the surroundings because I've just been in complete awe of how amazing it looks. It looks incredible. And there is just so much to do. I mean, you've got an absolutely fantastic main quest. The story is brilliant. Awesome characters. So much awesome stuff going on. I mean, it's dark, it's violent, and it's funny all at the same time. Great combat. There's no filler in this game. Like most other RPGs are guilty of. Again, I feel like I'm attacking Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm not. It's a great game. But that had a lot of filler. I mean, how many quests did it chuck at you? A lot. How many of them were complete pointless and boring and just, let's face it, kind of shitty? Most of them. All the quests are awesome. I mean, some of the side quests are as good as the main quests. If I often forgot I was actually doing side quests, because like, hang on a minute, is this a main quest or a side? I was like, holy shit, it's a side quest. Some of them are just so meaty and there's so much to them. And, you know, they have their own little stories in themselves, and some of them actually affect the main story, and there really is so much to do. God damn, do you get your money's worth with this game. If you want to do everything, you are going to be at this for hours and hours. I mean, I finished the main story, but I've still got a shit ton of the side quests to do, and still got places to play. I've got hours and hours left of the game, man, and I'm not bored. I'm not bored. I can't remember the last game that I put this many hours into. I've been loving every single second of this absolutely phenomenal game. You know, when I was a little kid, you know, when I first started off playing video games, 8-bit consoles, 16-bit consoles, you know, the NES, Sega Mega Drive, that sort of stuff, I could never have imagined I'll be playing something like The Witcher 3. It's going to take something pretty goddamn special to knock it off the #1 spot. But have you seen what's still to come? It's going to be very interesting when I do my final list at the end of the year because, like, seriously, we've still got Mad Max to come, which has potential. Just Cause 3. Fallout 4. Star Fox. The Mario Maker. Xenoblade Chronicles X. We've also got Hitman coming out, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Yakuza 5, Fatal Frame 5, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, which I do believe will be my #1 game of the year. That's my prediction right there. If anything can top The Witcher 3, it's that game. Awesome stuff still to come. But there you go, guys. That does it. So feel free to let me know what your top 5 games of the year so far are in the comments below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.